Hi, Doc students. As promised, I am going to be providing a few areas of feedback in terms of APA 7 after looking at your work from week 1. So if you haven't already, I would strongly suggest that you get a copy of this APA 7 manual. So this is going to be extremely important to utilize throughout this program, but also as you continue on in your professional career, you're going to be continuing to utilize APA. Of course, there may be subsequent editions of the APA manual, but APA 7 is the most recent edition. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you to provide just some general feedback. So first I wanted to show you this website. I'm hoping that you are all familiar with Purdue Online Writing Lab, or OWL. This is a phenomenal resource. This is what I use if I don't want to pull out my manual. So it has general formatting information. So it provides information regarding font. So for example, I did provide some of you some feedback in terms of font. So typically it's 12-point Times New Roman, but you could also utilize these other acceptable APA 7 fonts. And then it tells you other pertinent details as well. But I'm going to be providing general feedback in terms of your reference list. So a lot of the things that I'm going to be talking about, you're going to be able to utilize this website to really help make sure that your citations are in appropriate format. I would strongly suggest that you get in the habit of doing your own citations instead of using some sort of citation machine. The more that you do it, the more comfortable that you're going to get and the more second nature it's going to become. So I just have prepared some of the top common errors that I found within your work. So I'm going to be showing you examples as we go along with this, manuscript that I talked about in my other video from the systematic literature review. So first and foremost is some of you use the word bibliography. So in terms of APA 7, bibliography is in the cemetery, RIP to the word bibliography. We are using the word references. So references will be its own page. You notice that it is centered and it's bolded, okay? Another formatting thing I want to point out is you see that all of this is in 12-point Times New Roman and there's no extra spacing. What I mean by that is some of you had extra spaces between each entry. So there's no extra spacing. So it's all just double spaced. Another error that I want to point out is after this first line of text, the second line or subsequent lines should be indented 1/2 inch from the left margin. So what I mean by that is something like this. So you see that this is a second line. So that means I have to indent it. Well, if I try to, I can just indent it that way, but typically you would have to enter, tab over, and then get rid of the extra space. This is also true if there's more than just a second line. So you see, this is a second line and a third line. So again, the first line is always to the left, and then the indents come in subsequent lines after that. So that's how the indentations work. The second area that I want to point out is in terms of titles. So titles are not capitalized. So you notice that in this example, it is called sentence case. So only the first word of the title is capitalized. However, you would also capitalize proper nouns. So I want to show you a couple of examples. So you see in this Blair one, for example, I already actually see a mistake in this one. So mentoring novice teachers. So mentoring is capitalized, but also following a colon, developing should also be capitalized because it's following a colon. So again, only the first letter or proper nouns should be capitalized in a title. So out of all of the sources, the most common errors were within periodicals and websites. So first for periodicals, the first thing that I want to stress is in terms of authorship. So you alphabetize your references. So all these references are in alphabetical order. Second, you see that each of these sources, all of these authors, some of them have their first initial for their first name. Some of them have also their middle initial. So that's really going to be dependent on how the author cites their names on here, okay? But you notice that there's a specific format in terms of adding periods after these letters as well as commas. So I want you to be very, very mindful of that. Again, the title of the article is in sentence case. However, you notice that titles of periodicals are capitalized. So for example, Journal of Special Education Apprenticeship, all these words are capitalized because if it's a title. Additionally, after the title, the volume is also italicized. Okay, so you notice that this one does not have an issue. So there is, not every single periodical might have an issue number, for example. But if a volume and issue is provided, they should be appropriately listed. Okay. Additionally, your page numbers should be listed as well, followed by a period. Now, in APA, these periodicals are listed with their DOIs, okay, in the form of a website. In earlier editions of APA, it was not in a website, but this is the format for APA 7. So for example, this is the DOI website for this specific article. However, if you don't know it and want to double check that one exists, you can use what's called cross-reference. So if I was to just copy and paste this title into this cross-ref tool, you see that this actual title popped up. So I would just literally copy link address into this document right here. So that cross-ref is a great resource to just double check if they're DOI websites, okay? The last thing that I want to show you is in terms of websites. The most common mistake that I saw in terms of websites was adding a retrieval date. This is the correct format of a website. You have the author, last name, first initial, middle initial, the year, the month, and the date. You see that there's no comma. You would just list the month and the date. If it doesn't include the date, you would just include the year and the month. Again, the title of the page is sentence case. The site name is also sentence cased, okay? Then you would actually include the website. So again, you would not be including your retrieval date, okay? So I'll just try to find another example to show you. So here's an example. So you have Council for Exceptional Children, 2020 August, and then you have the site name and the website. So because this organization was the same as the site name, I wasn't going to list it twice, but I did include the website here. Again, this APA 7 takes practice. So I will continue to be providing very detailed feedback in terms of helping to build your capacity with this skill. But I'm always willing to help and guide you in the right direction. Again, email me if you have any questions, and I would love to continue to help.